Okay, picture this. You've just left a party, you walked in not knowing a single soul, bravely introduced yourself to someone, and chatted for a good 5 minutes. You shared a few laughs, said your polite goodbyes, and headed out to your car. But the very second you shut that car door, your brain just starts rolling the tape. And the absolute first thing that echoes in your head is, why on earth did I tell that story?
We have all been there, right? Your mind instantly zeroes in on every single perceived flaw. You start cringing, thinking to yourself, I talked way too much. Did I completely dominate the conversation? I totally babbled.
And man, the downward spiral just keeps going. You get that awful sinking feeling of regret about how you handled the whole interaction, thinking, I really should have asked more questions. I made it entirely about me. It's that painful, incredibly familiar post-conversation mental replay where you just dismantle your own performance piece by piece.
And then we hit the grand finale of social anxiety. I bet they thought I was awkward. Sound familiar? I'm guessing it definitely does. But here is the surprising twist that changes absolutely everything. There is a very, very good chance that the other person went home and thought the exact same thing about themselves.
Welcome to this explainer on what psychologists call the liking gap. It's honestly one of the most fascinating discoveries about human relationships out there. The simple, liberating truth is this: most people actually like you a lot more than you think they do. We're going to explore exactly why our brains trick us into thinking otherwise, and, more importantly, how to fix it. Let's look at the data.
So how do we know this? Well, researchers set up this brilliantly simple psychological experiment. First, they invited complete strangers into a lab to have short, everyday conversations. Nothing crazy. Afterward, each person was separated and asked two really basic questions. One, how much did you like the other person? And two, how much do you think they liked you?
And the results? Literally hilarious and kind of sad at the same time. Almost everyone underestimated how much their conversation partner enjoyed the chat. Both people walked away thinking, I liked them way more than they liked me. Think about the irony there. They both genuinely liked each other, yet both completely assumed the feeling wasn't mutual. So, experts have a formal name for this: the liking gap. It's the psychological phenomenon where people consistently underestimate how much the other person actually enjoyed their company. It literally traps both individuals inside their own incorrect, negative assumptions, keeping them from realizing they just made a really great impression. Section 1. The Spotlight Illusion, or Why We Remember Every Awkward Second. So why do we agonize over every stumbled word or every time we laugh just a little too loudly? Well, think of it like this. You are the star of your own movie. Every tiny mistake you make is broadcast in high definition, agonizing slow motion in your head. But everyone else? They're watching their own movie. In their film, you're just a supporting character. We are simply so much harsher on ourselves than anyone else ever is. Let's say you're chatting and you accidentally slip up and admit your absolute favorite thing to watch is some trashy, guilty pleasure reality show. You instantly regret it, right? You think, great, now they think I'm completely ridiculous, and you obsess over it for days. Meanwhile, the other person has entirely forgotten it by the time they get to their car, or even better, they're secretly a massive fan too. We spend hours agonizing over moments others barely even register. And hey, this isn't just about strangers at networking events. The liking gap totally sneaks into our closest circles: friendships, romantic relationships, and families. Think about your last argument with a loved one. You probably spent 3 days replaying every sentence, silently wondering if they still like you, assuming they've just moved on. But research shows they're probably doing the exact same thing, trapped in the exact same silence. We do this at work all the time too. You give a presentation, forget one joke, and instantly panic. But afterward, a colleague says, hey, great presentation. You probably think they're just being polite, right? But here's the illusion at play. You are judging yourself against the perfect, practiced version inside your head. They don't have that script. They only saw the presentation you actually gave. Or, think about getting a drastic new haircut. To you, it feels incredibly obvious. You walk into a room totally bracing yourself, assuming absolutely everyone is staring and judging it. But most people, they don't even notice. And it's not because they don't care about you, it's simply because their brain is way too busy wondering if anyone noticed their haircut. It's this wild contradiction we live in. When we're talking directly to someone, we're deeply convinced they're scrutinizing our every flaw. Yet when we're sitting quietly in a cafe, people watching, noticing who was reading, who was on a date, who's arguing, We assume we're completely invisible to the room. Ask yourself, how many people in that cafe actually noticed you? Probably way more than you think. So why on earth do our brains do this to us? It basically comes down to access. We only have unlimited access to one mind, our own. We feel every single anxious thought, every insecurity, every hidden mistake. Because the minds of others are a total black box, our brains have to fill in the blanks. And unfortunately, we almost always fill those blanks with harsh, completely unearned criticism. Section 2, How to Escape the Trap. Let's look at 4 simple solutions. The really good news here? We do not have to stay stuck in this loop. There are surprisingly simple ways out. We've got a roadmap with 4 proven steps. Become curious, ask more questions, tell people what you're thinking, and remember, they're fighting a battle too. Let's break these down and see exactly how to rewire that anxiety. Step 1, become curious. Stop obsessing over, do they like me? That just puts you in this stressful performance mode. Instead, shift your attention outward. Ask yourself, what is interesting about this person? The exact moment you transition from performing for them to exploring them, your own anxiety instantly shrinks. It's like magic. Step 2, ask more questions. It sounds basic, but people consistently underestimate how much others absolutely love talking about themselves. A truly great conversation isn't about sounding impressive. It comes down to this ultimate social irony. The more genuinely interested you are in someone else, the more interesting you become to them. Step 3, just tell people what you're already thinking. If you admire someone's presentation or their sense of humor, do not keep it a secret in your head. Think about the immense power of simply saying, hey, I really enjoyed talking with you. Delivering one sincere spoken compliment out loud can completely erase hours of their own unnecessary self-doubt. And finally, step 4. Remember that everyone you meet is fighting their own unseen battle. Just like you, they are deeply worrying about their own awkwardness, wondering if they talk too much. So next time you leave a conversation convinced you embarrassed yourself, flip the script. What if they're driving home right now, desperately hoping that you liked them? The world really might be a much friendlier place than your inner critic wants you to believe. You are unequivocally more likable than you think. So the next time you walk away from a party overthinking every single word you said, what if you chose to believe that you are actually the best part of someone else's day? Because honestly, you probably were.